We've all been there, right? That feeling walking into a new classroom, all the unfamiliar sounds, the sort of unspoken rules of the playground, maybe the pressure of a pop quiz you didn't quite, nail. School can be a complex labyrinth for, well, for any student. But imagine if every single one of those challenges was just profoundly magnified, not just by circumstance, but by the very way your brain is wired. Picture a bustling cafeteria. Every clink of a fork, every whispered conversation, every chair scraping. Imagine that doesn't just sound loud, but feels, I don't know, almost like a physical assault, like a dentist's drill, maybe. Or a friendly tap on the shoulder from a classmate meant as a greeting, but it feels like a sudden, really disorienting jolt. That's the kind of unique and often overwhelming landscape many students with autism navigate every single day in our schools. And in this deep dive, we're going to really pull back the curtain on that experience. Our aim is to move beyond just, surface level observations, to truly understand the complex environment these students face and explain why these challenges arise. It's about a fundamentally different way of experiencing the world.
And we are going deep on this. This isn't just a quick skim. This deep dive is really built on a foundation of authoritative sources. We're drawing from the latest data from the CDC, invaluable insights from organizations like the National Autistic Society, and, well, a wealth of specific, impactful research studies, people like Crane et al., Oljurovich, and Hamilton, lots of key work. And our ambition here isn't just to list the difficulties, it's to unravel the underlying reasons why these challenges happen, and crucially, to illuminate what truly makes a difference when it comes to effective support. It's about looking past a diagnosis and really seeing the individual's lived reality within the educational system.
Precisely. And what's becoming clear already is that this isn't about fixing some kind of deficit, but understanding a different operating system. So, our mission today is to equip you, our listener, with a clear, actionable understanding of the significant hurdles students with autism encounter in school, and to shine a bright light on the support strategies that genuinely empower them to thrive. Get ready for some, well, maybe surprising facts, compelling insights, and practical takeaways, things we believe will genuinely shift your perspective.
Okay, let's really unpack this. Landscape of challenges. Understanding the autistic student experience. Okay, so to really grasp the scope here, let's start by grounding ourselves in some foundational data. We know instinctively that every child faces bumps in the road during school, right? Navigating
Yeah.
friendships, mastering subjects. But for students with autism, these everyday hurdles are often profoundly different. They're rooted in specific neurological variations. So it's not just a temporary struggle, it's a constant navigation of a world that isn't always designed for their unique way of processing information and interacting.
That's a crucial distinction, yeah. And the data helps set this scale, gives us a lens to understand the breadth of this experience. The CDC, for instance, tells us that about 2.25% of 8-year-olds in the U.S. are diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder.
2.25% doesn't sound huge, maybe, but
Yeah. Right, but think about what that means. For the vast majority of these, hundreds of thousands of children, this diagnosis means their entire educational path. How they learn ABCs, how they navigate friendships, manage daily routines. It's fundamentally altered. It often requires specialized support that goes way beyond a typical curriculum. Special education becomes an essential part of their school journey for many. And when we talk about their daily challenges, we're really looking at a broad, interconnected spectrum. This includes significant social and communication differences, and I say differences, not deficits in how they engage and express themselves. There are often intense sensory issues, being overwhelmed by loud sounds or bright lights, maybe even certain textures. Then we see difficulties with executive functions, those crucial air traffic control skills, like organizing thoughts, planning tasks, seeing work through. On top of that, there could be notable emotional and behavioral responses and specific academic struggles. Learning, writing, even just following classroom rules. What's vital to understand is these issues don't exist in isolation. They often intertwine.
okay, so like one thing affects another.
Exactly. Sensory overload might lead to anxiety, which then impacts executive function, making it harder to complete schoolwork. This complex interplay often culminates in what can look like meltdowns, which are often physiological stress responses, not bad behavior or maybe avoidance behaviors, as a coping mechanism. Knowing these broad categories, highlighted by experts in key studies, is foundational. It helps teachers and families understand the why behind the behavior, not just react to it. And that leads to more effective, empathetic support.
That really deepens my understanding. Yeah, it's not just a checklist, is it? It's this dynamic, interwoven experience.
Yeah.
Okay, so with that foundation, let's zoom in on one of the most visible areas, and often maybe the most misunderstood: social interaction, human social dynamics.
Yeah.
They're inherently complex, right? Full of unspoken rules, subtle cues, shifting expectations. Most of us learn it almost instinctively. This next area is, well, it's really illuminating. B, social challenges, the unspoken rules of connection. B, social challenges. 1, recognizing feelings.
Indeed. One of the most significant hurdles is recognizing how others feel. Just imagine for a moment trying to navigate a social world where you can't easily tell if someone's sad or happy or frustrated just by looking at their face or their body language or hearing the tone of their voice.
That sounds incredibly difficult, like flying blind socially.
It really is. Research, like Oljarovich and Hamilton's work back in 2013, used eye tracking. Fascinating stuff. They found that unlike neurotypical peers who often focus instinctively on the eyes for emotional cues, autistic individuals might look at other parts of the face, like the mouth, or even away entirely.
Huh. So it's not that they aren't looking, just looking differently.
Exactly. It's a difference in visual processing. And it fundamentally impacts their ability to read emotions in real time. The impact, well, it's profound. It leads to confusion in social situations, makes it really hard to make and keep friends because they're missing that crucial feedback, and often it contributes to heightened anxiety and sadness. They just aren't picking up on those signals most of us take for granted. It leaves them feeling disconnected, maybe bewildered.
Yeah, it's so easy to assume everyone reads the room or a face the same way we do. But
Yeah.
like Dr. Catherine Lord put it so well, it's not that they don't care, but they see feelings in a different way.
Mm.
It's not about a lack of empathy, is it? It's a difference in perception and processing. And that difference, as you explained, can be a huge barrier to building those close reciprocal friendships that are so important for kids. It really underscores why social skills often need explicit teaching and support, too.
Building friendships. Precisely. Building those truly reciprocal friendships, that genuine back and forth, is often an uphill battle. Research by Bominger and Kasari going back to 2000 showed these students have notably fewer two-way friendships. It's not just about having fewer friends, but the quality, the mutuality of those connections. They often find themselves less liked by classmates, frequently spending time alone, experiencing more social isolation, and this tends to get more pronounced as they get older, into higher grades where social dynamics get even trickier.
Right, the social world gets more complex.
Definitely. And their social initiations, those first steps to engage, asking to play, starting a chat, they're often less frequent or maybe less reciprocal. So they might try to interact, but the response isn't always there, or they don't respond in kind when approached. It creates this cycle of missed connections.
And that brings up a critical point about inclusion, doesn't it? Just physically being in the classroom doesn't automatically mean true social inclusion. It's a common misconception, maybe, that just placing a student with autism in a mainstream setting will naturally lead to social integration.
That's right. While studies like Kasari et al.'s in 2011 show that specific social skills lessons can help build competencies, the ongoing need for support in navigating and maintaining those friendships in real-world, dynamic settings remains a significant challenge.
So the lessons are a start, but not the whole story.
Exactly. The lessons are vital, but applying and maintaining those skills requires consistent effort, explicit guidance, and frankly, a deep understanding from everyone involved. 3, nonverbal cues? Absolutely. And nonverbal communication. Wow, that's such a crucial, almost subconscious layer of interaction. And this is another area with substantial difficulties. Think about it. So much of what we convey is without words. They might struggle to interpret body language, a shrug, crossed arms, or understand gestures like a nod or a wave. Deciphering subtle facial expressions like that slight tightening of lips signaling annoyance, or a furrowed brow. That can be genuinely perplexing.
Things we barely even notice consciously.
Right. And research by Trevisan et al. Found autistic kids tend to use fewer facial expressions and gestures themselves when communicating, which can inadvertently create this sort of two-way street of misunderstanding.
Ah, okay. So it goes both ways.
It does. These challenges often manifest as less direct eye contact, which neurotypical peers might misread as disinterest, or maybe fewer facial expressions that match the situation, or trouble understanding the meaning of gestures or posture. Like if a teacher uses a hand gesture for quiet, the student might not connect the gesture to the command, leading to confusion or an unintended response.
So it's not just them struggling to read others, but their own nonverbal communication might be perceived differently or maybe even as odd, which makes fluid conversations really hard, I imagine, and group participation too.
Incredibly difficult,
Yeah.
yeah. As Crompton et al. Highlighted, communication between autistic and non-autistic peers can be fraught with potential for mutual misunderstanding. It's not necessarily a deficit on one side, but a fundamental difference in communication styles. Both groups can misinterpret signals.
Making it harder to connect, converse meaningfully, build rapport. Wow, it really requires patience and empathy from all sides to bridge that gap. 4. Bullying and exclusion.
And sadly, these inherent communication and social differences often lead to a really stark, heartbreaking reality in schools: negative peer attitudes and a disturbingly high prevalence of bullying. Research by Butel et al. Consistently found students with autism are often unfairly judged based on their behaviors rather than being understood.
That lack of understanding is key, isn't it?
It really is. It can result in significant social exclusion and teasing, which is incredibly damaging. When classmates don't get why a student interacts differently or they actively avoid them because of those perceived differences, the sense of isolation and hurt for that student can be profound and lasting. The statistics on bullying, they're truly alarming. They demand our attention. A landmark study by Zablotsky et al. Reported that a staggering 85% of students with autism experience bullying.
85%, that's devastating.
It is. And what's particularly striking is the type of bullying. Social exclusion accounted for the vast majority, 72.28% of cases.
So being intentionally left out, ignored,
Yeah,
ostracized.
exactly. That was closely followed by insults or teasing at 70.1%. So pervasive verbal and relational aggression. While other forms like sexual harassment, around 28%, and extortion, around 6.5%, also happen, it's that relentless social exclusion and verbal taunting that really stands out as the primary torment.
That's truly heartbreaking. Imagine being that student walking into school every day knowing you're highly likely to be excluded or teased. The cumulative impact on their mental health must be severe.
Immense. The National Autistic Society and studies like Humphrey and Hebron's consistently show these chronic negative experiences lead to immense stress, escalating anxiety, and deeply damaging low self-esteem.
Which then probably causes them to withdraw even more.
It's a vicious cycle. They disengage, withdraw from social interactions, participate less in school life. School becomes a place of dread, not discovery.
This just highlights how crucial proactive classroom support and really comprehensive ongoing autism education for peers are. It's not a one-off assembly.
Not at all. It's an ongoing systemic effort to foster genuine understanding, empathy, and true inclusion, where every single student feels valued. C, communication difficulties, bridging the gap.
Okay, so beyond that subtle dance of social cues and reading emotions, let's transition now to the more direct ways communication itself can be a barrier. It's not just about understanding a frown, right? It's profoundly about how they express themselves and how they understand what's being said to them verbally and in writing. Let's unpack these nuances. 1. Expressive language.
Indeed. Many students with autism show unique patterns in their expressive language, making typical verbal interaction, well, challenging. A common feature is echolalia, the repetition of words or phrases.
Like repeating what they just heard.
It can be immediate, yeah, or delayed repeating something from hours or days ago, like a line from a cartoon maybe, used in response to a question, which can be confusing. Dr. Connie Casari highlights they often use language in very specific, sometimes unusual ways. Their voice might sound flat or monotonous, maybe nasal, or have an odd stress pattern, lacking that natural intonation.
So it might sound sort of robotic or maybe lacking emotion.
Even when they are feeling intensely, yes. Some might use very few words for social interaction, struggle to initiate conversations, ask questions, or do that typical back and forth. And instead of pointing or gesturing to show desire like for a toy, they might physically push or pull someone towards it. It's their most direct way to communicate that need sometimes. Research by Kwok et al. Confirms weaker expressive language skills overall, impacting both spoken output and comprehension. It's a fundamental difference in outputting thoughts. 2. Written expression. And these challenges with expressive language often extend profoundly to written expression. Putting thoughts onto paper can be a massive hurdle.
So not just the speaking part, but writing too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Imagine having a vivid, complex idea in your mind, a story, an explanation, but trying to translate it into written words feels like the thoughts are trapped, or they come out fragmented, disjointed.
Yeah.
Many students struggle not just with the mechanics of handwriting, we'll get to that, but organizing thoughts logically, connecting ideas, understanding different writing styles.
Okay.
Their sentences might be remarkably short, or they might omit crucial details because they struggle with that theory of mind, understanding others don't know what they're thinking. They assume the reader has the context.
Ah, leading to writing that lacks detail or coherence.
Exactly. Translating a multi-paragraph idea into coherent writing, or even differentiating formal and informal writing. It's an immense cognitive load, far beyond just bad grammar. Dr. Kasari notes these writing difficulties often co-occur with spoken language issues, reinforcing that broader communication challenge. 3. Receptive language. On the flip side, receptive language, understanding what others are saying, also poses significant hurdles. Students might genuinely struggle to follow multi-step directions. If a teacher says, first put away books, then get math supplies, then start page 20, they might only process the first part, or none at all, especially with background noise.
Not out of defiance, but just processing difficult.
Yeah, precisely. They might not respond as expected to questions or commands due to a processing delay or misunderstanding the request. And teachers, maybe unknowingly, can make it worse by giving too many commands quickly, or using lots of abstract language, or too many yes-no questions. That can heighten stress and limit processing time. They might miss subtle social cues embedded in conversation too, leading to misunderstandings, feeling lost in discussions or group activities. 4. Processing information, which leads us right to processing speed. This is key. It often takes significantly longer for students with autism to process spoken information.
Longer time. Not about intelligence, though.
Not at all. It's often about the brain's unique filtering system. Imagine trying to hear one specific conversation in a super crowded, noisy room. Your brain works harder to isolate the relevant sound, takes more time and energy.
Okay, I get that.
For a student with autism, that crowded room effect can be their constant reality in a typical classroom. Makes it hard to keep pace with rapid instructions or discussions. So they might miss key points in a lesson, or struggle to formulate a timely response, impacting spontaneous participation. Kim et al. Highlighted this direct effect on class participation.
That makes sense.
And that's why visual aids, giving instructions one step at a time, clear, predictable routines, they're so vital. They offer alternative, often less taxing, pathways for information absorption, reducing the pressure of real-time auditory processing. 5. Group participation. Group participation, whether it's academic tasks or social play, presents yet another layer of difficulty. Many students prefer to play alone or engage in repetitive, focused activities rather than joining imaginative or pretend play with others.
Like lining up cars instead of a pretend race.
Exactly. Meticulously lining up cars for hours. Dr. Stanley Greenspan developed the floor time model, which is really powerful here. Instead of pulling a child into a predefined game, floor time involves adults joining the child in their world of play, lining up toys, spinning objects, and then gently expanding on those interests.
Meeting them where they are.
Precisely. Slowly building shared interactions, transforming solitary play into a bridge for connection. In structured group work, challenges like sharing materials or taking turns can be significant. They might miss nonverbal cues for their turn or struggle with the give and take of collaboration. Research emphasizes that clear, explicit instructions and visual supports, like picture schedules for group tasks, can significantly help them participate more effectively.
So what does all this mean?
It means that by deeply understanding these specific communication issues, expression, reception, processing, group dynamics, teachers and parents can provide truly targeted, effective support. This isn't just about making school easier, it's enabling students to better engage socially and academically, leading to better outcomes and helping them feel truly connected. Sensory processing, a different world of input.
That's such a powerful point about communication being so nuanced, affecting everything. Okay, let's shift gears now to something often invisible but profoundly impactful: sensory differences. Imagine experiencing the world with your senses on a completely different frequency, where typical inputs are either overwhelming or maybe surprisingly diminished. This next area, yeah, this is where it gets really illuminating. Diving into that unique sensory world that can be a fundamental barrier or even a source of actual pain. 1. Sensitivities.
It truly is a different world of input, and understanding it is absolutely key to empathy. Students with autism often experience heightened, or sometimes less commonly, diminished senses. Sounds, lights, textures, tastes, smells, that can affect them in ways most of us can barely imagine, often leading to discomfort or distress. Let's talk about noise first. For many, a classroom is just, bustling. But for a student with autism, that symphony of scraping chairs, pencil taps, whispers, sudden bells, projector hums, hallway chatter, it can become an unbearable cacophony.
Not just background noise, but an assault.
Exactly. Dr. Temple Grandin famously described loud noises feeling like a dentist's drill. The research consistently confirms most students with autism have sensory problems. Auditory sensitivities make it incredibly hard to focus, learn, stay calm. It diverts immense cognitive energy just to cope. And it's not just hearing. Moving to light. Bright, flickering fluorescent lights common in schools, intensely irritating for many.
Right, those can be annoying for anyone sometimes.
But imagine it being much worse. Students might instinctively squint, cover their eyes, complain of headaches, find the flicker incredibly distracting. Dr. Olga Bogdashina notes harsh lights can induce headaches, eye strain, make it hard to see clearly and focus. Many prefer softer, natural light, or even dim lighting. It's simply less assaulting, allows them to process other visual info without strain. And finally, touch. Equally challenging. Some develop strong aversions to certain textures, sticky glue, gritty sand, particular fabrics. A scratchy uniform tag can feel like torture.
Wow, things we might not even notice.
Exactly. And unexpected touch, casual pat, accidental brushing in the hall, can be deeply unsettling, startling, even perceived as painful. These tactile sensitivities cause significant stress, leading to avoidance or social withdrawal as they try to protect themselves. It's not being picky, it's genuine discomfort.
Ew.
Overload and meltdowns. So when a student is subjected to an excess of these overwhelming inputs, too much noise, too much light, too many unexpected touches, or a mix, it leads to sensory overload. This isn't just discomfort, it's a profound physiological state of distress. Their nervous system is completely overwhelmed, loses its ability to filter or regulate.
Like the brain's filter just breaks.
That's a good way to put it. Imagine every sound, light, texture let in at maximum volume simultaneously. Your system just can't cope. And a meltdown is the body's involuntary, desperate try to shut down that unbearable input. It often manifests as intense crying, yelling, hitting out, or needing to abruptly leave the room to escape. The source describes how this overload can trigger intense fear, anger, or even aggression directed outwards or sometimes inwards.
And it's crucial to understand this isn't bad behavior.
Absolutely critical. Meltdowns are not defiance or tantrums. They're a physiological response, a sign the student is utterly overwhelmed, has lost the ability to cope or regulate. Their nervous system is in crisis. Because of this, they might resort to avoidance behaviors covering years, hiding under a desk, rocking, withdrawing, trying to self-soothe or escape. 3. Classroom impact. And the pervasive nature of these sensory challenges has a direct, significant impact on classroom learning and participation. Sensory distractions, loud noise, flickering lights, visually busy walls, accidental touch make it incredibly difficult to focus on the teacher, the lesson, their work. The source material specifically highlights noise as being a huge problem for learning, directly interfering with auditory processing and attention.
Makes sense. Hard to listen when noise feels painful.
Exactly. These issues directly hinder participation, often leading to avoiding group work or activities perceived as too stimulating or unpredictable. But the incredibly good news is that even small, thoughtful changes by teachers who understand these needs can make a world of difference.
Like what kind of changes?
Simple things, really. Noise-canceling headphones,
Right.
flexible seating beanbags, wobble stools, a quiet corner, intentionally reducing visual clutter on walls. These can significantly improve comfort, focus, and ability to participate.
Why does this matter so much?
Because when a student feels physically and emotionally safe and comfortable, they are far more capable of engaging, connecting, and reaching their potential. It's setting them up for success by tailoring the environment to them. E. Executive function, the brain's control tower.
That's such an important clarification about meltdowns, seeing them as stress responses, not defiance. It really reframes the whole approach.
Okay, let's pivot now to another critical area impacting daily school life, executive function. You called it the air traffic control of the brain earlier. That set of cognitive skills allowing us to plan, organize, prioritize, start tasks, manage time, shift flexibly. When that control tower isn't operating smoothly, even seemingly simple daily tasks can become incredibly daunting. So what does this mean for a student's daily routine? Homework, schedules. 1. Organization. It means staying organized, both materials and thoughts, becomes a significant ongoing hurdle. It's common for students with autism to routinely lose supplies, forget homework, struggle to keep notebooks organized. Dr. Adele Diamond highlighted profound difficulties with planning and organizing belongings and tasks. They might forget essential items, a pencil, a textbook, or leave assignments at home. Makes it hard to keep up.
And organizing thoughts, is that similar?
Equally, if not more, challenging. They may struggle significantly to break down a large assignment, like a research paper, into smaller parts, or forget the sequence of instructions, especially given quickly or verbally. Joseph et al. Showed that working memory holding and manipulating info short-term and planning skills are often weaker. They might get fixated on one idea or lose track of the overall goal. Teachers often see they need a lot of extra help just initiating or completing tasks.
So what helps with that?
Simple visual checklists, explicit step-by-step guides for assignments, clearly labeled storage systems. These can be incredibly powerful. They give structure to what feels chaotic, helping organize belongings and complex thoughts. 2. Time management. Time management is another substantial area of difficulty, closely linked. Students with autism often struggle profoundly to estimate how long a task will take, or even when they should start working on it. Pelicano found they frequently struggle to adhere to daily schedules independently. A student might miss the start of class because they lost track of time or forget deadlines.
Not defiance, but the concept of due date is maybe too abstract.
Exactly. It's hard to internalize. Meeting deadlines is particularly hard. You often see procrastination not due to laziness, but because initiating is difficult, or they get significantly distracted. Kirkwood et al. Noted they often have trouble initiating tasks and remembering due dates without external prompts. Parents and teachers consistently report they need frequent reminders, visual timers, substantial extra support to complete work on time. Their internal clock just doesn't function the same way, requires external scaffolding. 3. Flexibility and transitions. Which brings us to flexibility, often a huge source of anxiety. Transitions moving from one activity to another, like math to art, or quiet reading to group discussion, can be intensely stressful. Dr. Rosenthal emphasized that students with autism thrive on routines and predictability. When routines are disrupted, even slightly, it can trigger significant anxiety. The world feels unpredictable, unsafe.
Cognitive inflexibility, is that the term?
Yes. Russo et al. Found cognitive inflexibility is common. Makes it genuinely difficult to switch tasks, adapt to new situations, change plans. It's not stubbornness, it's how the brain processes novelty or shifts attention. For some, switching tasks is like completely rewiring a mental program, exhausting and anxiety-inducing. Even seemingly small changes, substitute teacher, rearranged furniture, unexpected fire drill can sometimes lead to meltdowns or withdrawal. Unexpected changes are particularly tough.
So how do you help them cope with inevitable changes?
Proactive strategies are key. Visual schedules showing the day's progression. Verbal countdowns before transitions. 2 minutes until cleanup. Social stories describing a new situation or routine.
Like explaining what to expect with a substitute.
Exactly. Tomorrow, Mrs. Green will be your teacher, etc. Even visiting new places beforehand or practicing new routines can significantly lower anxiety and make transitions smoother. Semmer-Kleckman et al. Confirmed these strategies are highly effective in building flexibility over time.
So it's clear these executive function challenges aren't just quirks. They directly impact the whole school experience. Academic performance, daily routines, like trying to run a marathon without knowing how to tie your shoes, plan the route, or when to start. Without support, the system can just shut down. Leads to missed assignments, misunderstood instructions, immense frustration. F, academic barriers. Beyond the books. Building on that, let's explore how these unique cognitive profiles create specific hurdles in academic subjects themselves. It's not just organization or social skills, it's how their brains process information relevant to the actual curriculum content. Fundamental differences impacting how they understand the world, presented in lessons. 1. Learning styles.
Precisely. One common barrier stems from difficulties with abstract ideas and figurative language. Many struggle with concepts that aren't literal, concrete, directly observable.
So the raining cats and dogs example.
Exactly. A student might genuinely think animals are falling from the sky. Leads to confusion, maybe distress. Dr. Tony Atwood notes this concrete, literal thinking. Makes subjects like literature, with metaphors and symbolism, or science math requiring abstract reasoning, particularly challenging. Happe specifically found autistic children have more difficulty understanding metaphors and irony. They require inferring meaning beyond literal words.
So how can teachers help with that?
Consistently using simple, direct, explicit language. Incorporating visual aids whenever possible to make abstract concepts more tangible. Beyond abstract concepts, retaining information can also be a struggle for some. While many learn better visually, pictures, diagrams, written instructions, their auditory memory might be weaker.
Meaning they struggle to recall info from lectures.
Yes. They might struggle to recall information presented only through spoken lectures or discussions. Boucher and Mays indicated memory, especially for verbal info, can be impacted. So a multisensory approach is highly beneficial. Combining visual cues with verbal instructions, repeating key lessons in various formats, using hands-on activities,
Yeah.
helps them remember and understand. 2. Writing challenges. Writing presents another significant academic barrier, both physically and cognitively. Handwriting itself can be incredibly difficult due to fine motor problems, weak finger muscles, poor hand-eye coordination. Holding a pencil can be tiring or awkward.
And didn't you mention texture sensitivities too?
Yes, the feel of certain paper, the drag of a pen, smudging graphite, it can be physically unpleasant or distracting. Dr. Amy Weatherby points out they struggle not just forming letters and spacing, but coordinating moving their hand while forming words and ideas. Leads to slow, laborious writing, messy work, or even a strong aversion to writing tasks. It demands exhausting effort.
What kind of accommodations help there?
Thicker pencils, ergonomic grips, frequent hand breaks. These make a difference. Occupational therapists often recommend exercises and sensory breaks. And for students where handwriting is just too much of a cognitive load, allowing keyboards, speech-to-text, or even a scribe can unlock their ability to express complex thoughts that might otherwise be trapped. 3. Following directions. Following multi-step tasks and directions is another common struggle impacting academic success. Gertz et al. Found autistic children performed worse on tasks with multiple steps or requiring processing several ideas simultaneously.
Better with single steps.
Marked improvement, yes. When instructions were broken down into single, discrete steps, delivered one at a time, highlights the critical importance of breaking down assignments into smaller chunks, using visual checklists or written instructions to support working memory and processing. And when it comes to reading, comprehension can be a significant hurdle, even if a child can decode words.
Reading the words isn't the same as understanding them.
Exactly. Randy Newman and Grigorenko found up to 65% of autistic children struggle with reading comprehension, compared to 10% typically. Often linked to differences in memory, vocabulary, ability to infer meaning from social context and text, grasping abstract concepts, understanding character motivations, dialogue nuances. That can be challenging.
So again, visual aids and clear language are key.
Absolutely. Repeating lessons differently, visual aids, explicit comprehension strategies like summarizing, predicting, finding main ideas. The actionable tip is clear. Consistent routines, explicit language, clear visual cues, pictures, graphic organizers, positive reinforcement. These significantly boost academic performance. G. Emotional and behavioral issues. The inner landscape.
It's so evident how deeply these cognitive and processing differences affect every aspect of learning, from interpreting language literally to the physical act of writing. Okay, now let's address the emotional toll and the behavioral manifestations that often accompany these challenges. And it's crucial, isn't it, to see these behaviors often not as defiance, but expressions of underlying distress, anxiety, sensory overload, or just an inability to cope. 1. Anxiety.
That's a critical distinction, yes.
Yeah.
And one that shifts our entire understanding of behavior. Anxiety is remarkably prevalent. Studies indicate between 42% and an astonishing 84% of students with autism experience anxiety disorders, much higher than the 7.1% in neurotypical kids.
Wow, 42 to 84%. That's huge. What triggers it?
A vast array of factors. Unexpected routine changes, overwhelming noise, academic pressure, social expectations, or just that constant feeling of being misunderstood. Dr. Susan White emphasizes that anxiety in autistic individuals can often be hidden behind other behaviors.
Hidden? How so?
It might manifest as social withdrawal, fidgeting, rigid routines, even irritability or annoyance. Makes it hard for others to recognize it as anxiety, not just a behavior problem. To cope, many develop self-regulation strategies, often called stimming. Repetitive movements like rocking, hand flapping, spinning objects helps them self-soothe, feel calm with predictable sensory input.
So stimming is a coping mechanism.
Often, yes. Others might seek quiet spaces or rigidly adhere to routines to minimize uncertainty and maintain control. Teachers can play a vital role here. Clear visual schedules, warnings before changes, structured break times in quiet spaces, regular check-ins, maintaining a calm, predictable, visually organized classroom, key proactive strategies. Experts also stress using tools and careful observation to spot anxiety early, as students may not verbally express worries typically, or even recognize their own internal state as anxiety. 2. Meltdowns, aggression and self-injury. Building on sensory overload, meltdowns are extreme stress responses, not intentional misbehavior, the result of being pushed past their coping limit, complete system overload.
Triggered by.
Often sensory overload, significant fatigue, or unmet needs, communication, sensory, predictability needs. During a meltdown, a student might show aggression, yelling, hitting, kicking, throwing objects, not because they're naughty, but because they can't articulate how overwhelmed or frustrated they feel. Their nervous system is in crisis. Brain lost rational processing. Dr. Brenda Smith-Miles powerfully states aggression during meltdowns is not a choice. It's a profound sign they're overwhelmed, lost control.
So the key is early intervention.
Exactly. Teachers should learn to identify early warning signs, fidgeting, increased vocalizations, withdrawal, repetitive behaviors, and intervene calmly before it escalates. In some severe, truly distressing cases, students might engage in self-injury, hitting, biting, scratching themselves.
Oh, that's incredibly hard to think about. Why does that happen?
Yeah. Often happens with intense frustration, physical pain, or desperately trying to escape an overwhelming situation they can't control or communicate about. Research indicates it's more likely when students struggle with expressive communication, can't verbally convey needs, feelings, or perceive a profound lack of control. Providing safe ways to express feelings, visual communication boards, designated safe spaces, and making the classroom more predictable and accommodating are crucial preventative strategies. Reduces frequency and intensity of these distressing incidents.
It's such a powerful reminder that these intense behaviors, aggression or self-injury, are fundamentally cries for help, not defiance or manipulation. Creating that calm, predictable, supportive environment, teaching safe, alternative ways to express overwhelming emotions, that seems foundational. 3, repetitive behaviors and restricted interests.
Finally, we often see repetitive actions and highly restricted interests. Could be physical actions, hand flapping, rocking, spinning objects, repeating phrases, echolalia, or an intense, almost exclusive focus on a particular topic, trains, dinosaurs, maps, specific video games, certain scientific concepts.
And while these can sometimes disrupt class,
Studies show they are often a crucial coping mechanism. Helps manage anxiety, self-regulate sensory input, or focus attention in an overwhelming world. Provides predictability and control for some. The challenge arises when they become so pervasive they interfere significantly with learning or social interaction. But teachers who understand why these behaviors occur as internal regulation tools can actually leverage them.
leverage them. How?
These strong interests can be powerful motivators or rewards. A student passionate about trains might be more engaged writing about trains, or complete less preferred tasks for time with their special interest. Teacher training helps understand the function of these behaviors, integrate them positively. When teachers view these as coping tools and windows into identity, not just bad habits to suppress, it fosters acceptance, reduces conflict, helps the student feel understood and ready to learn, transforms a perceived challenge into a potential strength.
That's a fascinating reframe, seeing these behaviors not just as challenges to eliminate, but as key to internal regulation, maybe even identity. Shifts perspective from suppression to understanding and potentially channeling them constructively. Underscores the profound impact of empathy. 2, building bridges. Effective support strategies. We've certainly spent a lot of time mapping out the challenges, and they're clearly significant, multifaceted. But this deep dive isn't just about problems. It's fundamentally about solutions, building pathways to success. So what does this all mean for creating a better, more supportive, truly inclusive school experience? Let's pivot now to the incredibly powerful research-backed strategies that build bridges, starting with the very foundation, the school environment itself. A, the supportive school environment, foundations for success. A, the supportive school environment. 1, routines and predictability.
You're absolutely right. The environment itself is a powerful, often overlooked tool. And at the very core is predictability and consistent routines. Dr. Brenda Smith-Miles emphasizes routines provide immense security. For a mind struggling with change, processing differently, knowing precisely what comes next significantly lowers anxiety.
Frees up cognitive resources for learning, not worrying.
Exactly. A 2013 study found consistent routines help students behave better, follow rules easier, practice new tasks until ingrained. In a classroom with clear visual routines, students feel calmer, more in control, leads to better listening, increased ability to interact positively.
That clarifies so much, like a reliable roadmap for the day, reducing mental load. But life, school, isn't always perfectly predictable. You mentioned earlier how incredibly difficult routine changes are. Dr. Atwood notes minor changes cause stress. Pelicano found they struggle with novelty. So how do you manage that inevitable unpredictability?
That's where thoughtful, proactive strategies come in. Visual schedules, picture-based itineraries showing what happens when, not just for little kids. Older students benefit too. Verbal countdowns before transitions, 5 minutes until reading, gives processing time. Social stories explaining new situations or expected behaviors prepare them for changes. Substitute teacher, field trip.
Like pre-teaching the change.
Exactly. A social story might say, tomorrow Mrs. Green will be your teacher, etc. Even practical steps like visiting a new classroom or practicing a new routine beforehand significantly reduce anxiety. These strategies make transition smoother, gradually building flexibility. 2. Unstructured times, recess and free play. While routines during structured learning are vital, ironically, unstructured times like recess and free play often present unique, significant difficulties. Research consistently shows students with autism frequently spend recess alone or observe from the sidelines, struggling to join in.
Why is recess so hard?
The playground, unpredictable noise, rapid movements, shifting groups, ambiguous social rules can be incredibly overwhelming, isolating. For a student struggling with social cues and initiation, free play feels less like freedom, more like a social minefield. This highlights the need for intentional structuring, even during free time. Programs like the Friend Playground program introduce rules, games, adult guidance to recess, helping structure play and teach social skills in context.
So adult guidance helps.
Definitely. When adults provide scaffolding helping initiate conversation, suggesting a game with clear rules, students feel less anxious, better able to participate and connect.
Why does this matter so much?
Because intentional structuring transforms these challenging, isolating times into valuable opportunities for social connection, skill development, belonging, shifts recess from stress to growth. 3. Staff and peer interactions. Crucially, beyond environment and structured time, the attitudes and actions of staff and classmates are incredibly influential, often make the biggest difference. Positive expectations from teachers greatly enhance self-esteem, willingness to engage. Assigning classroom jobs helps students feel belonging, responsibility, contribution. Locke et al. Found positive staff attitudes, clear communication, defined rules significantly contribute to better outcomes.
And highlighting strengths.
Absolutely. When teachers highlight special talents, amazing memory, artistic ability, unique perspective, it boosts confidence and helps classmates develop acceptance, appreciation. Fosters a more inclusive peer culture. Peer support is equally vital. Strategies like buddy systems pairing a neurotypical peer with an autistic student can be profoundly effective for social connection. Using social stories to educate classmates about autism leads to greater understanding. Dr. Kasari emphasizes when classmates learn about autism, they become much more inclusive, empathetic.
Training student helpers, too.
Yes, training helpers to provide just the right support empowers the autistic student toward independence while building leadership in peers. Regular class meetings, discussions about neurodiversity foster understanding, reduce stigma, create a truly inclusive environment. For you, the listener, peer, parent, future educator, community member, consider how your understanding and actions can contribute to this supportive atmosphere. Make a tangible difference. B, targeted accommodations and aids. Tailoring the learning experience.
It's clear that supportive environment is the bedrock. But beyond that, what specific tools, individualized accommodations, tech aids can we use to bridge those gaps? Tailoring the educational experience. This is where the practical application really shines. 1. Sensory tools.
This is where practical, individualized support directly addresses those critical sensory sensitivities. Providing targeted sensory tools is paramount. Practical examples. Noise-canceling headphones provide an auditory shield. Designated quiet, low-stimulus spaces offer a sanctuary to self-regulate when overwhelmed, preventing meltdowns. Sensory breaks allow calming activities, fidget toy, stress ball, short walk, or just stepping away from input.
And flexible seating.
Yes. Bean bags, wobble stools, balance cushions, standing desks allow movement and positioning to regulate sensory input, maintain focus. A wobble stool provides gentle movement, helping sensory seekers stay regulated. Dr. Temple Grandin powerfully attests to the importance of sensory supports from her own experience. Research by Ashburner et al. Explicitly found sensory-friendly classrooms reduce stress, improve attention, help students feel comfortable, engaged. It's designing a space that works with their sensory profile. 2. Flexible schedules. Another crucial accommodation impacting executive function and anxiety is flexible schedules. Some students simply need more time to process info, complete assignments, transition, take breaks. Rigid timelines cause immense pressure, anxiety. Flexible schedules allow working at their own pace within a structure, reducing pressure, anxiety, improving focus, performance.
How do you manage that flexibility?
Visual schedules dynamic, adaptable along with clear timers, communicate durations, transitions, helps students feel less anxious, more in control, anticipating what's next. Knight et al. Demonstrated flexible routines help manage changes more effectively, not caught off guard. often integrated within positive behavior plans, ensuring consistency, predictability, safety, while adapting to the student's needs, not demanding rigid adaptation from the student.
So it's really about adapting the structure to fit the individual, not forcing them into a rigid box. Makes profound sense. Empowers them while providing guidance. 3. Communication aids.
Absolutely. And that adaptability extends deeply into supporting communication, foundational to learning and social interaction. Visual supports are foundational, incredibly powerful. Picture schedules mapping out the day task, social stories explaining situations, expected behaviors, simple picture cards conveying needs. I need break, I want water.
Making things clear, predictable.
Yes, makes routines easy, reduces stress, promotes independence. Dr. Patricia Prelock emphasizes visual supports empower students to do things on their own, fostering autonomy. A key example, especially for nonverbal students, is PECSPIC Picture Exchange Communication System. Enables communicating needs by exchanging pictures. Research clearly shows visual supports reduce behavioral problems, increase participation as barriers lower.
Like handing over a break card instead of getting agitated.
Precisely. Effectively communicating their internal state. Then there's the transformative power technology, incredible new, engaging ways to learn and communicate. Speech-to-text apps let students verbalize thoughts, have them transcribed, bypassing writing challenges. Talking devices provide auditory cues, read text aloud, supporting comprehension. Video modeling demonstrating skills via video is highly engaging, effective for visual learners. Fletcher Watson et al. Found tech plays a significant role helping improve communication and social interaction skills. Teachers report combining tech with traditional visual auditory cues helps achieve better outcomes, creating a truly multimodal learning experience. C. The power of advocacy and collaboration. A unified friend.
What's so clear from all those challenges and strategies is that the most effective support doesn't happen in isolation. It really requires a unified, comprehensive, compassionate team effort, extending well beyond school walls, not one person's job, a shared commitment. 1. Family involvement.
That's absolutely critical. Families are the primary advocates, a vital, indispensable part of the support system. When parents are actively involved attending meetings, communicating regularly with teachers, providing consistent support at home, outcomes are significantly better. Studies show a clear, strong link between high parental involvement and improved grades, social skills, positive behavioral development. Their presence bridges home and school. Many schools increasingly offer family programs equipping parents with tools, fostering strong partnerships with educators. That two-way street is invaluable. 2. Collaboration. Building on that true, seamless collaboration among all stakeholders is paramount, most formally structured through the IEP Individualized Education Program. These are legally mandated plans developed by a multidisciplinary team. Teachers, families, specialists, speech therapists, OTs, psychologists.
Working together to create a tailored plan.
Exactly. Sets specific, measurable goals, outlines accommodations, services, Stoner et al.
Yeah.
Highlighted how strong parent-teacher teams are especially effective during transitions elementary to middle school, even just a new grade. Frequent, open, respectful communication and genuine teamwork ensure everyone's aligned, working towards same goals, connected on progress, challenges, evolving needs.
So what does this all mean for you, the listener?
It means understanding effective support isn't static, not solely the school's job. It's dynamic, ongoing, deeply collaborative, relies on open communication, mutual respect, shared commitment from everyone in the child's life to help them truly flourish. Outro, Roner.
We've certainly covered a huge amount today, navigating the complex challenges, social struggles, communication barriers, sensory overload, academic and emotional hurdles. But more importantly, we've spent significant time exploring the powerful, research-backed strategies that truly build bridges, make a profound difference. It's a journey emphasizing that while challenges are undeniable, real, effective, compassionate, tailored support truly exists. It's within our reach.
Absolutely. The core message from all sources is clear. Teachers with good attitudes, deep empathy, willingness to adapt, coupled with strong, consistent teamwork with families, these are the most crucial elements for success. As research consistently highlights, kindness, genuinely tailored strategies, commitment to continuous learning and adaptation are paramount. Cultivating an environment where understanding, flexibility, adaptation are norms, not exceptions.
And that leads us to a thought I want to leave you with, something to mull over beyond this deep dive. What if our primary focus on accommodating neurodiversity shifted, maybe subtly, to truly designing learning environments where diverse minds don't just cope or fit in, but are genuinely celebrated, where they thrive and where they contribute unique perspectives that enrich all of us? It's a powerful idea to consider. We truly hope this deep dive has given you a richer understanding, practical insights into supporting students with autism. We encourage you to continue your own exploration of neurodiversity and inclusive education, because the more we understand, the better we can truly build bridges and create a world where every mind can flourish.